What's up, y'all? I'm Tyler Chrome and I'm here to bring you another video, but today it's going to be a little bit different. Today we're going to go over something that I find kind of interesting that maybe you guys will find interesting as well. It's going to be a short video, but hopefully it'll be different enough to where it's kind of interesting. It'll let you guys in on a little bit more of who I am and where I come from. So I did the MyAncestry.com DNA test, and what happens when you sign up for this, it's about $100. They send you a pack in the mail and you swab your mouth and send it back in, and there's like guidelines on how to do it, instructions in the pack, and then you send it back in and they use the DNA in your saliva just like as if they were testing for like a paternity test to see if you belong to the parents. But they check your DNA through your saliva and then they tell you where your ancestors came from. And now these things are pretty new, so they're not 100% accurate, but they're accurate enough to where it's pretty cool. And if you do the research, you see that they test it and they show you exactly how they test it. They do cross-testing, they test the strands of DNA multiple different ways to make sure that they're not getting a certain part of the strand which would cause it to say that you have more DNA from one place than you actually do. So they do all these different tests to cross-test in order to find the average of where they can predict where you're from. So I got mine back and it's pretty interesting. I was a little surprised. I mean, not much, but I was, everyone's kind of told they have this or that in their family growing up, down the line. And I was always told that I had Native American in my family, on both sides actually. And that didn't show up on this test at all. Now, like I said before, these aren't 100% accurate, but maybe that's just something that was passed down through generations. Maybe it was a guess. Maybe it was came from old stories that someone made up and wasn't true. I don't know. But on this test, it does not say that I have any Native American in my family. Alright guys, for real, I want to tell you guys first of all why I did this DNA test. A little story that I won't draw out, but basically this all started because of my grandmother. Okay, my grandmother's always been into tracking our family history and the family trees and whatnot, okay? But then when these genetic tests started coming out, she got more interested in those and she wanted to do them, right? So she went and did one, and then she got some of her sisters to do the same, and my dad, and this is before that I did it. This is what got me interested in it, the story that I'm getting to. But so different family members had been doing it. And one thing my grandmother noticed was her and her sister's DNA tests were nothing alike. And so it was very confusing to her, but at the same time, there was this story that we'd always been told since I was little and since my grandmother was little, that when they brought my grandmother into the hospital room after, they take the baby, they clean them after they're born, and then they bring them back to the parents. Right, when they brought my grandmother back after cleaning her when she was little to my great-grandmother said, "That's not my baby. You brought back the wrong baby. That's not my baby." So, but she kept the baby. The nurse was like, "No, this is your baby, ma'am," blah, blah, blah. So years later, come to find out through this testing, my grandmother found out that my great-grandmother is not actually her mother, and she was switched at birth, which is crazy for anyone to wrap their mind around. And so my great-grandmother, who just recently passed away before my grandmother even found this out, but for my whole life I thought that was my great-grandmother, and my grandmother's sisters were my great aunts, or whatever you want to call them, grand aunts, whatever, but they're not. I'm not biologically related to them at all. Now they're still family and they'll always be family, but now we have this situation, or at this point we had this situation where my grandmother didn't know who her real mother and father were. So this was, had her emotional, and it had the family kind of, we didn't know how this was gonna turn out. And so my grandmother did a lot of digging. She found the only other girl which made the process a lot easier. The only other girl that was born that same day in that same hospital as my grandmother, she found her family. And so through the use of this testing and some digging through family trees and contacting people and asking questions, my grandmother's been able to reconnect with her biological family, which is also my biological family and all of our immediate families, biological relatives that we've never known. And so this has been kind of a crazy experience, but it, you know, so this testing is not, I mean, it's legit. I mean, it can actually cause changes, big changes in people's lives. I mean, that's something that's sent my grandmother's life on in a big 180. I mean, she's, you know, kind of didn't know how to handle it at first, but she's come to terms with it. I mean, she's happy that now she does get to know her real family. It's kind of crazy, but science like this, you know, can actually do a lot of good in the world if it's used in the right way. But anyways, that's how I got interested in this. Now I'm going to go into my DNA results. For you guys to be able to understand this better, I'm going to put it up right here on this side of the screen, the percentages. So if you reference here, what this test came back and said for me was that I'm 52% British, 23% Irish, 7% Scandinavian, which it's not as exotic as it sounds. That just means from the regions, let's see, I want to make sure, Norway and Sweden, so white, and 5% from Europe West, which is Germany, France, Switzerland. Again, everything so far has been white. And then it gets to the Iberian Peninsula, which is Spain and Portugal. So 5% Spanish, basically, and then 4% Italian. So 4% of my heritage comes from Italy and Greece. And then 2% Finland, Northwest Russia, and 1% Europe East. So Great Britain is over half of where my heritage comes from, which kind of makes sense when you think about the way that I look, because people of British descent, you normally think of dark hair but blue eyes or light eyes, and that's exactly what I have. So guys, to wrap things up, you know, I think that this is a pretty cool test. It's something that's interesting. It's something that, you know, intrigued me, that I always wanted to kind of see on paper about my heritage and where I came from. So if that's something that you're interested in, I definitely suggest getting this test. This isn't a paid promo or anything like that. It's just something I found interesting and cool. If you want to do what I did by getting these results that you see here, you can go to Ancestry.com. And then on there you can sign up, put in your information. I'm not sure, I can't remember all the exact information, name, you know, birth date, all this stuff. And then they will actually send you the DNA test and swab, follow the instructions. It's really simple. Mail it back, and then you get your test results over email, and then you can also print them out. And then they're on the website for you. It's linked to your profile. It's pretty simple, easy site to use. But I thought this was interesting, cool, something I want to share with you guys. It's going to be a short video today. That's it. Looks like your boy's Irish and British for the most part, and the rest is just a little sprinkle of whatever. Chrome, out.